This is the theme of Setback and Misery. Paul feeling Piggy in his profession. Select frames. So this is the scene where she brings in the pig. I really do like this pig. The pig comes in first, and he gets on the bed with Paul. And Annie is talking about, this is my sow, my favorite beast, and she calls the beast Misery. And he's shocked, and she says in response, well, I told you I'm your number one fan. And he's beginning to sort of see that, okay, it's becoming clear to me. So from a good deal of the movie, he doesn't understand her misery. He doesn't see her misery. The misery is masked. um she doesn't really show misery. She puts on the face to deal with Paul Sheldon. Paul Sheldon, the author, Paul Sheldon, the author of the book series Misery, right? She puts on the face. So when she keeps using the word misery over and over and over prior to this moment, nothing in him says, I need to pay attention to the fact that she's using misery all the time, the word misery. But nothing happens like it. When the pig comes in and he gets on top of the bed of Paul Sheldon, and she talks about how it's her favorite sow, favorite beast, Misery, then it sort of becomes kind of clear to him there's something that's going on. He still doesn't interpret it as misery. And it's interesting how misery is revealed through both characters. He has the facial expressions of being in misery. Her facial expressions are happiness but being in misery. So he comes in, he gets on top of the bed. I think the little pig is cute. I mean, he's a big pig, but I think he's cute. I just kind of, every time I see this scene, I just smile. And then and then Paul doesn't have the right kind of response to it, and that's why I think really this face too is the type of face that he has towards his own series. That misery is represented in a pig, right? It's reflected in the pig, and in some ways he feels like he's been sort of wallowing and roaming around in the slump. That the misery business is not the business he wanted to get in to. He's not proud of himself with that. He says that he was a writer then when he first tried to push his other previous book, right? And so the pig is symbolic of him sort of being a pig in his industry, right? It's a very profitable series, very great idea, and he has benefited financially and economically in status, right? And owning homes and things like that. But he still feels like this pig that he's looking at with hostility. And in many ways, he's looking at his whole misery series with this type of look, as well as the previous one that I noted. So the pig is a pig. A pig is going to do what a pig is going to do. It's going to snort. It's going to try to smell, right? And it's kind of like the misery series has taken over like this pig. This pig decided to jump on top of the bed. No one asked the pig to jump on top of the bed, right? The pig just assumed that it was okay to jump on top of the bed. And so it's the same thing as the misery business. Writing the misery books, it has completely taken over his whole life. Paul Sheldon did not ask for the misery books to take over his whole life. He did not ask for the misery books to be a pig in his life, but they have become such a pig in his life that he's ready to get rid of. And so Annie comes in very happy about her favorite sow, Misery. And interestingly enough, I think it's a good point to make, that she's not praising him for his new book. If you see, it's easy to miss. It's really easy to miss that she started out reading the untitled book and then eventually has him to burn it, but she's not praising him for other areas of the book. That's why I say she doesn't have the right to judge it. She can't judge it. She's not equipped with the academic criticism tools or praise to judge it, because she couldn't get past the profanity and the nobility aspect of it and get to past page 41 and then praise him for his writing ability or praise him for other aspects, character descriptions, plot development, things like that. No, because she doesn't understand that. She's not going to be able to recognize when the writing quality of Paul Sheldon's book. That's why trying to give her permission to judge writing quality is really just out of order for him. And so she's very happy about this sow. He's still looking at the sow kind of weirdly, and she doesn't even notice how his attitude towards the sow is. That I would think when she was sitting down going over the first book and being happy about it, and he was talking about his daughter, her face changed a little bit, as if, okay, I can't do anything right. And that's when she gets up and tries to exit the room. But now his face is very scrunched up. It's not receptive to the sow. And it's interesting that she doesn't notice that, and that her face doesn't change as a result of looking at his face not responding well to the pig. That's interesting, because I would think that's her favorite sow, almost like a kid for her. And any mother will tell you they notice when other people respond to their children, how their facial features turn or something like that. Their face turns in a certain kind of way, and that mother gets upset quickly, right? So I thought that was kind of interesting. And so she's talking about how when she first got the farm, it was just chickens and I think cows or something like that, and it was kind of dreary. And then she got Misery, and it changed her life, and it basically gave her the smile that she needs. So Misery gives her a smile, right? It's masked as this face that we see that is not sort of scrunched up or anything like that, or hostile, but it's just weird, that Misery would make her smile. And so she's happy, smiling about her sow. The sow is still on the bed, and he didn't even get. She didn't even really get permission to jump on the bed, like I noted, but she's on the bed nonetheless. And Annie permits her to stay on the bed. Annie doesn't come in and say, get off the bed, right? Because why would you want a pig on the bed? But we're going to see later that Annie has the pig to lay in the bed with her in her room. And so he's talking about that's a fine piggy you have there. And he still has a face. There's no smile on that face. And so here's where she was, she's talking about that his book is so divine, just like that painting by Diego of the Sistine Chapel. And so she's calling that Misery book a divine thing. So she has moved from nobility to the divine. And when he rewrites the book at her behest, she says that I knew Misery was born of nobility. Now, Misery is a fictional character, but she has made Misery so real for her, as if she is living in the Victorian era and she has met Misery herself. And so she is so engaged in his books that Misery is real for her. right? Just like her regular misery in life is real for her. She doesn't talk about being really miserable. She doesn't, I don't even think she uses the word misery to describe how she felt. She just basically suggests that she uh, didn't feel well during a certain time in her life. And reading his book sort of helped to bring her out of what she was feeling. And so, Misery, that book, and the Sistine Chapel, those are the two most divine things that she cares about. So she's equating that the quality of his book, Misery as a book, as part of a series, is so high in quality and so divine that it is matched with the painting of the Sistine Chapel. And when you think about it, um, Paul Sheldon is painting a world. He's really painting a world through his books. That's why she's so familiar with the narrative, the timelines, the seasons, the characters. That she can't assess it properly because she doesn't have the academic tools of criticism to do so, but she knows the books. And so here's the sort of pig sound that she's making, um, to mimic the pig. And it sort of surprises him, you know. So again, sometimes you don't know what to say about what you're seeing. You're just having to take it all in. And it's almost like you're watching a movie and you kind of have no other choice but to watch all of the scenes because you don't have the capacity to rewind it and go back and instead of getting on that road, staying at the lodge and waiting out the blizzard and then leaving. So I like this view again that I noticed, and I think it's important to call attention to these views because, again, it looks like a very picturesque type view. It's also interesting to note that it's isolating, that even though a person might love a house this far off from the main town, it is a bit isolating. And so when Paul Sheldon tries to get out of the bed to leave, before his legs get better, he doesn't know what's outside the door. From his window, he can see trees and he can see aspects of the area, but he has no clue about where he really is and whether he would have enough strength to move through this snow, because it's still snow in the area even if it's thawing out. And he doesn't know where the town is. He doesn't know the direction of where he would go if he was able to get up and leave. All right, like, subscribe, and visit. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for more discussions. You can visit my YouTube channel for further film analysis. It's Favorites Film Analysis as the title of the channel. You can always send me an email and ask me a question, reginayfavorites@yahoo.com. My Overcoming Setback, 5 Keys for Entering and Exiting Correction book will become available around October 2021. I'm still doing some editing. The book does not focus on film analyses, but I use the content that I created for the book to support my my perceptions of setback used as a theme in select films. So when the book becomes available, I will send out a notification video, audio. Thank you very much for visiting the channel.